All right, I am nearing the top of Dickey Hill, and I'll have a little quick descent to a really awesome viewpoint. And that is definitely one of the attractions here. I think I may just stop at the top, have a snack, and call it a day and head back down. It's a gorgeous day. I could go for miles, but it's one of those why push it right now when I don't really need to. I've had a lot of downtime from hiking recently. This week I will be getting a fourth root canal, and I'll know tomorrow whether I'll be getting a fifth root canal, which I desperately hope is not the case. But if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. I'm starting a brief descent to the viewpoint I was talking about here at Dickey Hill. I've been on and off of this trail for well over 50 years. I think the first time I was ever on Dickey Ridge Trail, I was 4 years old, and that would have been with family, and very likely just the lower half, which follows along the creek, which is beautiful. I'm sure I splashed around in that plenty of times, but this has just always been the right outside of my back door trail. And you know, I can't think of a better training type trail than this for the AT. There's switchbacks, there's flat spots, there's elevation, gain and loss. So it's just a great spot. All in all, the trail from point to point is almost 10 miles to the AT at Compton Gap. So if I were wanting to start thinking about some of those big miles I know I want to push, this is perfect for a 2-day hike, single overnight. That would just be a lot of fun. And here we come on the vantage, the viewpoint. It looks like I have this trail to myself today. I've not passed a soul. There was no one in the... People usually park in the picnic grounds parking lot to do this trail. I mean, it'd add another half a mile just from the Dickey Ridge Center parking lot. And there is some of the rocks, and get ready for it. I've shown this in lots of static photographs that I've included on my Silly Survives website on my blog. But this is a little more what it looks like live and in person. You just can't beat this. The little area below me is Browntown, Virginia. You can get there off of 3-4, going out on 340. And if you stay on 340, of course, you go to Luray, Virginia. The peaks right straight across from where I'm standing, that is the peaks of Hogback. And that is an absolutely awesome hike. That is on the Appalachian Trail. So I think I may just go ahead and plop down here and have a little lunch. It's a little early because it just didn't take me that long to get up here. I'm thinking about a half hour. Isn't it beautiful? I can't tell if I'm chopping my head off or not in this camera angle. I may be. I may not be. I don't know. I went ahead and put a sports cap on my favorite water bottles because I like these. I love the Mazama Amigo. Thank you, Miranda, for inventing these bottles. Who knew that bottles needed to be reinvented? But yeah, that makes it just so much easier to drink out of. I'm looking at a different type of cap because I don't really like the flip cap on these. It works well, but I was thinking more the old style pull stop style cap. And for snacks on the trail today, I brought some picante chorizo from Spain. This stuff is absolutely incredible. Some nice 3-year aged Cabot, some gherkins, and for dessert, a couple of salted caramel honey stingers. These things are just absolutely awesome for a little bit of energy going down the trail, and for energy going back also, some cherry cola honey stinger caffeinated chews, just because why not? What a gorgeous day to be out and about. Actually put on a little bit of sweat getting up this hill. Going down will probably be a little different, so it won't be quite as strenuous. Well, it's not strenuous getting up that hill. It's just when you start plodding uphill, you think about it. But there's really not that much elevation gain here. I'm trying to eat food that's a little bit softer right now because it does hurt to chew on these temporary fillings that are put in until the composite crowns are going to be put in very, very soon, and I am very much looking forward to that. And that will just about do it for right this minute. Well, it was a nice little break, and now I'm about to head back down the hill. As always, it's fun putting together a little content for my faithful 2 viewers on YouTube. Who knows, maybe one of these days I'll pick up a third viewer. I think I'll be doing some more gear review stuff in the near future. I'm hoping to try out a pack of a different flavor. I love my Osprey Exos 58, but the last AT adventure I went on with that on the roller coaster, the pack was just too big. It was largely empty. The only, not downside to that is it is a light pack. The pack weighs just about 2 pounds total. So I was able to keep that trip down to about 24 pounds, which tells me a lighter pack, or a smaller pack would have been just as well for that. So I'm on the lookout through a couple different avenues for an Exos 38 liter pack. I'm just absolutely sold on Osprey. I love the fit. I love the airspeed suspension on the back. That pack rides about 2 inches away from my back, so I don't overheat and really sweat out like on my smaller pack that I'm wearing right now, which of course is an Osprey. It's a Scarab 24. They made this Scarab in a 36 or 38. I'd be tempted to try it, but they don't. Like I said, the Osprey Exos 38 I do know they make, and who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and find one. I've seen them on Poshmark. I've seen them on Mercari. For some pretty decent prices. I just let a Exos 48 get past me, and someone else purchased it before I could really think that much about it. Sold for $60, and I think 15 or 16 for shipping, which is just great. A lot of times you'll be able to find these deals and get free shipping. Just depends on the person, on the seller. But that is what I am tasking myself with. There's also a few other areas that I want to go lighter, like for my hammock system. I'm comfortable in my Eno single nest, which weighs 9 ounces, and I have a 10 by 10 bare butt flat tarp that I use with that. I think all said and done, that tarp system weighs 21 or 22 ounces, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things. But I'm looking at a different style. Right now I'm looking at a war bonnet, and that thing weighs about exactly half of what that bare butt weighs. It's a Sononline tarp 20D. It is 11 and a half ounces, which is, ounces off. And when I go with the hammock system for hiking and camping, I'm not taking along an air mattress. I am not taking along a closed cell foam pad, which I use in conjunction with my air pad, because I don't necessarily want my air pad directly on the floor of my tent. And I'm happy with my tent, which is a Pariah Arches 1. It weighs just over 2.5 pounds, I think, all said and done. I can get under 2 pounds depending on the setup style I go with it, but that requires a little more brave camping on my part, because that's going without the no-see-um mesh. That's just going with the footprint, the rain fly, and a few guy lines. But back to the hammock system. I really like hammocks. And I do have a bug net that doesn't weigh much. I could probably get one that weighs less. So I can get my shelter down to, it, like I said, it's 6 1/2 dozen the other, whether I stay on the ground or in a tree. But it's going to be, with everything involved, close to 2 pounds. But yeah, that will be absolutely wonderful, because even though I like my tent, like I said, it weighs about 2.5 pounds. My sleep system, along with that, with the air pad and the closed cell, that's another 13, 20, 23 to 25 ounces. So that is that much less weight than would be in my pack. So it gets close to where I'm not just shaving off ounces, I'm shaving off pounds, which would be absolutely incredible. Little chipmunks in the trail. One thing I would keep from my sleep system is my Nemo Pillow, inflatable pillow. That thing is so awesome. If you don't overinflate, it's super comfortable. If you inflate it, kind of like to max, it's a little stiff and just doesn't feel right. But if you inflate it to just over half, it has like a 1/2 inch memory foam top on it, and it's, oh god, it's just wonderful. And that would work well in my hammock. And season depending, I have anywhere from a 20-degree quilt to a 50-degree quilt. So I am absolutely set for that. The odd thing is my 20-degree quilt, which is made by a cottage company called Hang Tight. They're absolutely wonderful. That just weighs over 1.5 pounds. It's 850 filled down, and geez, it's luxe, man. It's just, it's so soft. But my 50 degrees actually a mummy bag, and I just press it into service as a quilt. And believe it or not, it is an Ozark Trail. It is from Walmart. It is a $20 bag, and that thing performs like a champ. Of course, it's synthetic. It doesn't weigh much. I think it's in that same 1.5 pound range. But I've pressed it down to 45 degrees, even though it says it's 50-degree bag, and I did that without an underquilt. and I did not get butt freeze. Luckily, as it is, I enjoy sleeping a little cooler than a lot of other people might. I like being a little bit chilled. But the crazy thing about that Ozark bag is it's nearly 7 feet long, believe it or not, and it packs down into this teeny little compression sack, which is completely crazy. And it just keeps me super, super comfy. And it's got a built-in foot box. So you just keep it unzipped, so it still has the foot box. I can put my feet down in the foot box, pull it all the way up to my chin, and fold it over, and it goes almost from my chin back down to my waist. That's how long it is. And I'm 6 feet tall, so it's nuts, man. It's crazy, but it's very comfortable. I have yet to use my full Eno system. I have an Eno double nest. I have an Eno single nest. I have the Ember underquilt, which it rates it at a 40 degree, which would probably take me down to 30. And I have the Eno Spark overquilt, which you can snap down and cinch the bottom, and it almost becomes, like a small sleeping bag. But if you leave the bottom snap together and the cinch cord done, that creates a foot box, and it's, yeah, that thing's great. Wow, what a beautiful day. I really hope I'm gonna like this little microphone that I bought for this camera. I am assuming it works. This is the first time I've tried it. I could be shooting a bunch of absolutely unusable video, at which point, with my editing software, I guess I could overdub and just show some of what I'm doing, and do a voiceover. But it's the Akaso EK7000 Pro camera, and the microphone I'm using is a little USB-C interface, which is also made by Akaso, and it says on the packaging, of course it works with the EK7000s. So I guess I'll know before too long. I'm still using the video editor that I have on my cell phone. I do have Nero Video, which I just need to get back in the learning curve of using it, because with that I can do multitudes of effects, different screen wipes, screen dissolves, special effects. There's just a lot that I know I can do with it. So it's just getting over that learning curve, because none of their stuff comes with documentation anymore. You just buy it and it's like, oh, okay, here it is. Go ahead and use it. It's like, well, and that's what I got. And I would love to get back to that, so I can actually produce some much finer looking content than what I'm currently doing. On the walk up here, after I turned the camera off, I was listening to an audiobook. I've been listening to Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is kind of a spooky thing to listen to in the woods when you're hiking alone. But The headphones I'm using are bone conduction headphones, so there's nothing actually in my ear. I can hear everything that's going on around me, and there were some crazy owls talking. I was like, wow, it's just late morning, and they're still out making a lot of noise. And then somewhere very close by, there was a big pileated woodpecker, and that thing was just making all kinds of racket, chewing up a tree, looking for whatever kind of little bugs or sap that it likes out of the trees. I'm not entirely sure. It's such an easy walk down on this trail. I'm so pampered. It's terrible. Terrible. It's been a really long time since I've done an overnight on Dickey Ridge. And I'm thinking, with my hammock system, a night of stealth camping would just be very fun. So I might set my sights on that sometime in the near future. Just because I can. Take something simple to eat, which, I like simple things to eat when I'm hiking anyway. I think at some point in some of my videos, I've talked about getting tired while I'm hiking and stuff. And there's the woodpecker again. You may have heard that. There's a condition that we hikers call bonking. And that just comes from, hiking hard, a lack of energy on the trail. And my general thoughts on that were I was going to be bonking from not enough fluid intake. It happened recently that I was on the AT doing part of the roller coaster with a friend. And if you know the roller coaster, it is 14 miles of pointless up and downs. They're called PUDs, and that's the reason they call it the roller coaster. You're going up the hill, you're going down the hill. But some of these elevation gains are fairly steep, and and long. They just, it might go on for a mile and a half going uphill at a fairly good clip. So I found that an improper calorie intake, caused my major bonking problems. And this is the first time this has ever happened to me, but I got sick while I was hiking. And that kind of scared me, because now, it's like, okay, something's messed up here. And now I'm, worried that on top of, not enough calories in me, I had food and I could have done things differently. But now I'm worried about getting super dehydrated because I just vomited out all of my fluids as well. What came out was, straight electrolytes. Salty going down, salty coming out. But it took me probably 45 minutes to catch up to my friend who was close to the top of the hill waiting for me. And, I told him what was going on. And of course, he was concerned. And, so it's just like, let's sit here for a few more minutes. And I went ahead. I think I put some calories in. So I grabbed a little bite to eat and tried to rehydrate a little bit. I was so worried about getting sick again. So I was, but luckily from that point, it was mostly downhill to our destination at one of the shelters along the way. So that was a live and learn freaky moment, you know. For as much as I do what I do, it just always had this thing, you know. It's just like, oh, I'm not hungry when I'm hiking. Well, that is obviously not the right way to do things. So the second day, I know we had an elevation profile that was very, very similar to the day before. So every 45 minutes or so, I was stopping, taking a break, hydrating, and eating a snack. And the issue did not occur again because I was doing things the right way, which is cool. But yeah, calories in, hydrate, you know, hike at your own speed is a thing. You know, when I hike with other people, you know, like my good friend that I went hiking with, we know what our goals are. We know, you know, we knew where we were going to stop. If he had hiked on, you know, and kept going, and I met him at the shelter, that would have been just fine. I don't mind hiking alone. It's fun hiking with people, of course, but I have my own particular pace. And honestly, this is about it. I'll hike maybe if I'm really, really getting it on a good flat section or even some downhills, you know, I can get to 2.5 or 3 miles an hour. But generally, I'm 2 miles an hour. It's just, I'm not in a hurry when I'm doing this. And I have a goal in mind. You know, if something better presents itself along the way, if I'm within that goal area and I spy a real pristine campsite or something, you know, I'm gonna say, hey, wait a minute. You know, it might just be a half mile longer. I have to hike tomorrow, but man, this place is killer. So I will stop because, you know, that's when I'm by myself. I wouldn't want to change my itinerary that way if I'm hiking with somebody and we know where we're staying as a goal. So, yep, super fun. Just little things to know. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and clip out. I'm just about back down at the bottom road, and I may go ahead and do a little report once I'm back at my vehicle, and that'll do it for now.